At the height of the Me Too movement, the California legislature promised to release its sexual harassment records, but it has not since 2020.
Yeah, KCRA 3 Capitol correspondent Ashley Zavala joins us now to explain what's going on with this.
Ty and Lisa, well, at this point, officials who are tasked with investigating these kinds of complaints say there has not been a single substantiated one since the end of 2020, but it's impossible to verify that. That's because of the Legislative Open Records Act, which largely exempts the state legislature from California's public records laws and shields those records from the public. Now, since 2018, the Capitol Press Corps had been receiving these reports regularly until suddenly they just stopped. Getting these reports was part of an agreement between the legislature and Capitol Correspondents Association as the Me Too movement forced an overhaul of changes in how sexual assault and other forms of misconduct are investigated at the state capitol. That specific agreement was not written into state law, but an informal promise the legislature made to be transparent. Sophia Bolag with our partners at the San Francisco Chronicle has covered this issue extensively.
I've talked to a number of staffers who really feel like this process is not transparent enough. It's hard to know what you don't know, right? And there isn't a legal standard. There was some effort a number of years ago to codify some of the disclosure requirements in law that didn't really get anywhere. And then Speaker Anthony Rendon and current, although soon-to-be former Senate Pro Tem Toni Atkins really resisted the idea of putting that in law and really insisted that they were going to be transparent. And certainly in the first few years, it really did seem like they were trying to do that. And now it's sort of unclear, are their successors going to continue the same policies? And there's no requirement that they do so.
Neither Senate Pro Tem Toni Atkins nor new Speaker Robert Rivas were willing to comment on this story. Now, we did get a statement from the Secretary of the Senate and Chief Administrative Officer of the Assembly, which said in part the WCU, which is the Workplace Conduct Unit in the legislature, has played a significant role in improving our legislative workplace, and we believe it's valuable to our staff and colleagues to hear how the WCU is being utilized, which is why Senate and Assembly leadership shares that information each year and are planning to do so this year as well. But this seriously raises the question, has there not truly been a single legitimate complaint against any of the state's 120 lawmakers or their high-level staff members? Sophia told us we just don't know what we don't know at this point.
Interesting. So do we at least know the number of complaints filed?
We do not. At this point, we know that this number is collected annually, that the legislature is supposed to provide those numbers annually to at least its staff. Us as reporters, we were also supposed to get that, so I filed a Legislative Open Records Act request. We have not yet heard back, but we will continue to check in. So more to come.
Seems like a big time lack of accountability going on.
Well, I mean, if the program and this promise was in place for 2 years and there were reports being received regularly, now it's been 4 and there's not a single one, it does raise questions, especially with advocates who are at the forefront of this effort.
Great job following up on that.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ashley.